Hi, this is Thresden, and this is part 32 of an Elder Scrolls Online Gold Road walkthrough. In the previous episode, we were here in Such, the city of... we finished Such, and we're at Weatherleah Estate. And we're trying to figure out whether this woman who just recently died was murdered. Her name is Lady Weatherleah. And she was either murdered or she just fell and died. But people are fighting over her inheritance. And we've come to believe that this guy, Uriel, actually died in the war. And the person who's claiming to be Uriel is not really him. He's an imposter. So we're going to go talk to him right now and see if we can get to the bottom of what is going on. This guy right here was somehow involved, and he killed himself. So we can't get more information out of him. He's dead. We're going to go talk to the imposter Uriel and see if we can find anything out.
What is with all the questions, cousin? Aren't you happy to see me?
There's our imposter. Talk to him, friend.
Our intrepid investigators! Pelin and I were just arguing over what to do with my mother's estate. Marriage squabbles. Have you made progress with that mysterious riddle? I can fetch her if you'd like. She just went into the kitchen.
Actually, we wanted to know if you were close to the cook, Edric Brusener?
The cook, you say? Well, as close as any young heir is with their staff.
The cook is the dead guy.
Now that I think about it, I always did find him strange. Always one for the shadows. I'm glad Pelin saw fit to fire him. I only wish I were here to do it myself.
We found him dead by the estate fountain.
Dead? What a ghastly turn of events! Hold on. Another memory is coming back to me. Yes. The cook always had a secret love for my mother. Was it grief that led him to kill himself? It must have been. You don't think he also killed Mother?
I didn't say he killed himself.
Oh, yes, of course. No, I must have gotten ahead of myself. Yes, that's it. All this death, I thought I left it behind on the battlefield, but it seems to have followed me home. Whether murderer or murderee, my heart goes out to Edric.
Thank you, Uriel.
Sure.
That's all. We should speak to Pelina next, traveler.
There's been another murder? The killer could come for any one of us next.
Nonsense. It's clear Edric was a troubled man who killed Lady Weatherleah and took his own life.
Maybe so, but I'm not leaving this room just yet. Another murder? I fear any one of us is at risk. Better not wander off alone.
Alright, let's find Pelina. Let's interrogate her. Seaweed, yum. Gonna make some sushi tonight.
Oh, Mizik, do you have updates on your investigation? Mizik, traveler, how fares the investigation? With so much still left to speculation, I've found myself wandering the grounds, trying to keep my hands busy. I hope to have things settled soon, for all our sakes.
We found the cook dead in the garden with a note confessing to poisoning Lady Weatherleah.
Edric? A murderer? I'm astonished. I guess I was right to be suspicious of him, but now I wish I'd had him jailed when I could have. What a travesty. At least now we have some closure, and can focus on the missing fortune.
Why does the confession say you were present for Lady Weatherleah's death?
Well, the lady and I had intended to meet that morning, but it slipped my mind. if the tea was poisoned, wouldn't that make Otho the suspect? With Edric away, he would have been the one to brew the tea for Lady Weatherly.
Are you accusing Otho of aiding with the murder?
I haven't the expertise, of course, to make such an accusation. But I do wonder. Otho and Edric have worked the estate for ages. Could they have felt entitled to a cut of the fortune? Useless speculation, perhaps, but the mind does wander.
Thank you, Pelina. We will investigate all lingering threads. Traveler, let's speak with the gardener next. Could Otho have assisted in poisoning Lady Weatherly? He made no mention of serving tea that day. Another thread to pursue in this search for the truth.
All right, let's go talk to him. Look at all this fog. Or smoke.
Betu seems to have run off again. It's embarrassing, really. You'd think I'd be better at keeping a handle on him, but the dog is a free spirit. How are things? Made any progress since investigating the library?
Actually, we were wondering if you served Lady Weatherly tea the morning she died.
It had become one of my daily duties while Edric was away. I usually try to brew her a pot before I leave for the market. Apologies for not mentioning that earlier. My daily tasks have become innumerable.
Edric is dead. He left this note confessing to poisoning Lady Weatherly's tea.
Edric is dead? I can't believe it. No, he'd never hurt Lady Weatherly. We were like a family. Wait, the recipe for the lady's tea is wrong. She's always found ginger to be too overwhelming. Are you sure Edric wrote this?
Are you saying Edric didn't write this?
He couldn't have. He'd never make a mistake like that. And he was nowhere near the tea that morning. I started a pot for Lady Weatherly, and Pelina took over brewing it before I left.
Aha, Pelina was here? She said she forgot about having tea that morning.
Strange. She was most definitely here. She even offered to finish brewing it. I've been so busy as of late that I accepted her offer. It's not every day Pelina lends a hand around the estate. Wait, could Pelina have poisoned Lady Weatherly?
Where does Lady Weatherly take her tea?
She usually has it in her bedchambers, but the room's been locked this whole time. It seems in the commotion the key has been misplaced. It's likely her room has remained untouched since this whole tragedy began.
All right.
Misik recalls a gilded key revealed to us by Betu.
If you already found the missing key, you may be able to unlock Lady Weatherly's bedchambers.
All right. We're gonna get to the bottom of this.
If the room has truly been locked this whole time, then not even the killer could re-enter. Let us see if we can find any clues among the mess.
Looks like there's a scrap of fabric here. A scrap of patterned fabric that may have been torn from a high-quality garment.
This scrap of fabric seems to have been torn from an expensive dress.
What is this? Research portfolio. Got a diagram for Deadland's wall spikes. A Xander Arcanist note, number 1. I find the Abyssal Sea meditative. Once you adjust to organelles thrumming across the length of your body, it's quite peaceful. Okay, that's just 55 gold. Gonna learn how to craft that. some raw meat inside of a... Not refrigerated, but not bad. Okay. Stained teacup. A teacup bearing the Weatherleah family crest. It is stained with a foul-smelling residue.
The residue on that teacup stinks with the same foul smell as the tainted tea we found with Edric's body.
Is that it? That's not it. Letter to Pelena. Dearest Pelena, you may not remember me, but I assure you I've never forgotten your name or the swirling script of your letter to my band of mercenaries. How curious it was to see such delicate writing spell out such a gruesome request. I still remember the shock in your husband's eyes, the way he cried out for his mother while he pawed at the dagger in his back. The memory remained an idle amusement until talk of a wealthy, elderly woman searching for her son spread through Cyrodiil. Then it struck me. Your late husband and I bore a striking resemblance. I'm sure you'll agree. We have much to discuss, dear wife. We'll have to play our parts well if you'd like to split that woman's fortune. Or I could just reveal you as the murderess you are. You decide. Theophan Pictor. Now we know who he is.
If this letter is true, then Pelena played a role in Uriel's death. And this signature. Is this the name of our resident imposter? Mizik would like to hear your thoughts on what we found.
Grapes soaked in poison. Yum.
This note seems to confirm that Pelena Weatherleah had her husband killed while he was away from the estate. Did Lady Weatherleah read it first and confront Pelena with the truth? And what is Pelena left to do when cornered?
Pelena poisoned Lady Weatherleah.
Indeed. Pelena may have sensed an end to her cozy life. Killing Lady Weatherleah before the imposter's arrival would secure her the fortune. She couldn't have known it was hidden, and now she can't reveal the imposter without outing herself.
But Lady Weatherleah was found in the library?
A poisoned cup of tea would bring unwanted attention to Lady Weatherleah's death. Helena's only option would have been to stage the scene. A fall from a ladder at the lady's age? Mizik can already imagine the solemn nods of acceptance.
So Pelena and the imposter Theophan.
They must have brokered an agreement. Ride out the storm of Lady Weatherleah's death and come out the other side rich. But they've stumbled along the way thanks to a curious cook and a meddling Mizik. It's time we confront our killers. Mizik heard a scream from down the hall. We must hurry.
He's dead! Someone killed him!
Betu? Betu, what's wrong, boy? Nobody leaves until Mizik finds out what happened. Traveler, there's something by the body. Quick!
To Investigator Mizik. Mizik, I apologize for letting my fear get the best of me. I was afraid telling you the truth would put your life at risk. I thought I could solve everything myself. Before Lady Weatherleah's death, I went through Pelena's belongings. I had always suspected she was cruel, but lately she had grown erratic, nervous, always looking over her shoulder. When I searched her room, I discovered her correspondence with Theophan Pictor. She had Uriel killed, and now his assassin is here, wearing Uriel's clothes and name like a cheap costume. I gave Lady Weatherleah a letter to prove Pelena's wrongdoing. I fear that, in doing so, I doomed her. When Pelena confronted me, she demanded I return her stolen letter. I refused. Told her I had hidden it, but she must have sensed my deceit. Known that I had revealed her betrayal to Lady Weatherleah. I'm sorry. It's all my fault, Edric. That's the real note.
Quickly, we must look for clues. Whoever did this couldn't have gotten far, and any lead will help us track them down.
Oh my god. A strange powdery residue found around Betu's mouth. It matches the residue in Lady Weatherleah's teacup. The dog's dead, too.
We have to help him.
He's just sick. He's not dead yet.
Something has made Betu terribly ill. I've never seen him so scared. If only I knew what was wrong, I could help him.
He was poisoned. We found the same residue in Lady Weatherly's teacup.
Wait. I recognize this smell. Yes, I couldn't place it until now. We use this poison around the estate grounds. We've fallen into such disrepair that beasts have moved into the cellars. Betu knows better than to eat this. He was forced.
Can we help him?
Yes, in the pantry. I kept a tin of medicinal herbs for this very occasion. I could never forgive myself if I had a hand in hurting Betu. Please, hurry. Get the herbs.
All right.
Quickly, friend. Search the pantry. Mystic hopes we can save at least one life today.
I'm coming back to that Varen's call to arms as soon as we save Betu. A collection of dried herbs meant to counteract severe illnesses and maladies. Otho can use these herbs to save Betu.
Betu! He's recovering. The herbs must be working.
Wonderful news. Traveler, let's discuss the note you found with our imposter.
Varen's call to arms. To the esteemed Weatherly family, our so-called Emperor, the blasphemer Leovic, has gone too far. His legalization of Daedra worship is an outrageous act of tyranny that no honorable Colovian should bow to. Duke Varen Aquilarius of Chorrol beseeches all able-bodied fighters of the Colovian estates to join in his march against the Emperor. Should you have a fire in your heart and loyalty in your blood, join our growing liberation forces in Bruma. Fight for Colovia. Fight for honor. Fight to restore glory to the Empire. A lot of this has to do with the main story from the game. If you ever play the main story, it involves the Emperor that has stepped down. Anyway, I won't go into it. It's complicated.
Our imposter is dead, and our killer nearly succeeded in taking Betu's life as well. It is also not lost on Mizik as to who is missing from this room. The note you found with imposter Theophan's body. What does it say?
It's a note from Edric. He discovered Pelena's involvement with Uriel's murder.
The lengths the cook went to protect Lady Weatherly. This one hopes she knew how dearly she was loved by her staff. There is no doubt left in this one's mind as to who our killer is.
Pelena Weatherly?
She must be held accountable for her crimes. She can't have gone far.
Alright, let's go hunt her down.
Betu? What is it? Where are you going?
Quickly, follow that dog.
Ah.
Good boy, Betu. Your killer may very well have fled.
Oh, I should have waited for him to talk. So, of course, we have a dungeon at the end of the quest, as usual. This is Weatherly Cavern. And I guess we'll have to fight Pelena at the end.
These tunnels seem to run under the entire property. Good thing we have Betu's nose. Poor dear.
Mizik needs to stop doing that.
Can't pick up the grapes.
Dark moons.
Get away from me, you beast!
Should I go kill those things and get that
Helen's
wine?
voice. She must be nearby.
There's no loot. Wasted my time. Wait, what's this? No, it's Mizik. Wasted my time. All right.
Apologies. This one is fine. Easy needs to stop doing that. Oh dear. Music is all right.
Damn dog. How are you still alive? I've committed no wrong. That man was an imposter. If I hadn't gotten him first, then he would have killed me. I spit on Theophan Pictor's name for masquerading as my dear Uriel.
We know you had Uriel killed.
How could you possibly say that? Whose inane rambling convinced you of such nonsensical drivel? Everyone is out to frame me. Theophan, Otto, even that damned Edric.
It's over, Pelena.
Damn this rotting estate. Everything I did, everyone I killed, I did it for my own survival. I hope it crumbles into dust just like that crone and her son. I spit on their graves.
All right, she confessed.
The Count of Skingrad will decide your fate.
Pelena, why would you hurt Betu?
Because this whole family can rot for all I care. Everything was going fine until that idiot Theophan came bumbling back into my life.
I can't believe Betu was so brave. Chasing down Pelena like that. I've never seen him so singularly focused.
You've done great work today, Traveler. The air is heavy with death. But just like the sun, truth will come out. If only Lady Weatherleah could see Pelena beaten at her own game.
What happens now?
Pelena will be delivered to Skingrad. With the evidence in hand, she should face charges for the deaths of Uriel, Lady Weatherleah, and our impostor. While it's possible Theophan killed Edric, I am certain she played a role.
What of the missing fortune?
To think this one nearly forgot about our remaining golden thread. Aquilia is the only living relative. Mizik supposes she will inherit the fortune. Not that we found a single coin to give her.
We must have missed something.
Fortune aside, what we accomplished today is no small feat. If the fortune was to be found, we'd have stumbled upon it during our investigation.
What have you got there, boy?
It seems Betu has brought us something.
Dusty golden goblet. Aside from Betu's slobber, it's clear that this ornate goblet is worth a hefty amount of gold.
Betu, where did you find this? Betu? Otto, escort Pelena back to the manor. We will follow the dog.
Everything was going...
Okay, I was wondering if maybe she'd say something different now that Betu ran off. But, no.
Apologies.
Mora's twitching
This one
tentacles.
is fine.
I'm glad that's done.
Music is all right.
Looks like we need to go this way. What are we looking at here, Betu?
Missy can't believe it. Is this Lady Weatherleah's missing fortune? Let us investigate.
Note from Lady Weatherleah. If you are reading this letter, then Betu trusted you with our hidden fortune. I had hoped that one day I'd pass these treasures on to my son, Uriel, but I learned recently that the woman I cared for like a daughter betrayed me, and so it became necessary to hide the fortune she is clearly so hungry to acquire. I haven't gathered all the proof yet, but I called upon a dear friend who can help bring her crimes to light. If I don't live long enough to see her downfall, let this document serve to make my final wishes clear. My dear dog Betu, and the staff that has looked after the both of us while I retreated into my grief, are to receive my remaining fortune and the estate. They are what remains of my family, and through them the memory of my dear Uriel will live on. To Edric and Otho, I thank you for making my grieving a little more comfortable. I hope this fortune helps you look after the greatest gift my son ever gave me, my dear and faithful Betu.
Lady Weatherleah must have left that note before her death. We should show it to Aquilia.
Okay. But, like, the main servants that she wanted to help are both dead. Or one of them is dead.
Stop doing that.
Alright, we're back at the entrance now. A lot of loot here.
Helena, is it true? After everything my aunt did for you.
I don't owe you an explanation, Aquilia. Everything was going
fine until that idiot Theophan. Yeah, okay.
I can't believe Betu was so brave.
Otho did his best to explain your findings. But is it really true? Helena is to blame for this nightmare?
Yes. Helena Weatherleah was our killer.
I thought she was acting strangely, but I blamed it on the grief. I would never have expected her to be capable of all this. And what of Uriel? What was his role in all this?
He was an imposter. He wanted a cut of the fortune after helping kill Uriel.
I knew something was off about him. But to think he also played a role in killing my cousin. Lady Weatherleah gave Helena a comfortable life, looked after her every need. All this death, in the pursuit of an absent fortune.
Actually, we found the missing fortune along with a letter from Lady Weatherleah.
Betu was safeguarding the fortune this whole time? It's a strange request, leaving the remaining fortune to Betu and her staff. But I wouldn't dare go against my aunt's wishes. How sweet. Lord Betu of Weatherleah.
You have got to be joking. The dog.
I can't believe it. There must be some mistake.
Nope.
There's no mistake, Otho.
She gave it to the dog.
I will help oversee the transfer of ownership. You and Betu will have all your needs seen to.
Excellent work, my friend. Let us speak. Many lives were lost, despite our best efforts. There is certainly joy to be found in our success, but this one will spend many a night wondering if there was more that could be done. Perhaps he is not as good an investigator as he thought.
Lady Weatherly and her son can rest easy, thanks to you.
Do not downplay your role either, friend. You forget, Mizik was a bumbling mess, chasing a sneeze-inducing beast. Betu, until you arrived. You deserve a reward for your work, but know that this one is in your debt.
All right, we got the investigator's garb, which is actually a piece we didn't have. It's the chest piece to the Symmetry of the Weald set, the DPS set, that gives you 200% status effect chance while your health is above 50% and adds 10% healing done while your health is 50% or less. That's great, we finally got that piece. And it's a named piece, it's the investigator's garb instead of Symmetry of the Weald robe or whatever.
Mizik hopes news of this case strikes fear in the heart of all criminals who think they have gotten away with their crimes. No matter how many years go by, justice is still hunting. And Mizik will find you in the end.
What will you do now?
Mizik will stay for a while as executor of the estate. But he cannot linger long. There are crimes that require his attention, and he must hurry before the trail goes cold.
But we just solved a crime!
Yes, and Mizik could not have done it without you. But resting in the shade of one's success is too long, dulls the claws. We will meet again, friend, and criminals will tremble at the thunder of our boots.
Oh, I cut him off.
Preferred cats. But you've made a good argument for dogs, Betu.
This one thinks Betu likes you.
Oh, well, you do seem like a very good boy. I'll be sure to order a lifetime supply of steak dinners.
All right. We'll have to see what the quest guide tells us to do next. I've still got a few more minutes left in this episode, so we'll see. We'll at least get started with something new. Alright, so what's next? We finished every single... Here, let's see. I think we got one more quest to start. This will be the last one. Adventure in Valente Vineyards. So we're going to go to Valente Vineyards Way Shrine and then head west to get to Valente Vineyards. Dismounted me when I went through that arch. Alright, this is Ontis Way Shrine right here. And we're gonna go to Valente Vineyards Way Shrine. And... should I go down to the road, or... No, looks like we're gonna get a quest right here.
What would Count Verandis do in this situation?
Ah, it's Fenorian! This is a character that you talk to a lot in the Greymore chapter in Western Skyrim. It's cool to see him back.
You're not planning to attend the Valente Vineyards auction, are you? I'm sure something untoward is going on in there. You seem capable. Would you be willing to help me investigate the situation? House Ravenwatch can be very generous.
What kind of trouble do you expect at a wine auction?
It isn't just any auction. It's run by and for vampires. Being a vampire myself, I can't help but wonder why Lord Gallio Valente Vineyard owner and vampire coven leader wants to sell wine to other vampires. It's not like we partake of the stuff.
So you were invited to this auction?
Not exactly. I was hunting a violent vampire gang called the Terrors when I found an invitation to the auction. Inviting vampires to such an event is strange enough, but offering this Vesper Valente vintage? That has me concerned. Will you help me?
I've had a run-in with the Terrors myself, yes, and I will help you investigate the auction at the Valente Vineyards and Winery.
First, let's look around the vineyard. I want to examine the grapes they grow here. Besides, it's a good idea to get a feel for the grounds before we head into the auction. Never fear. This is exactly what House Ravenwatch trained me for.
What's House Ravenwatch?
One of the noble houses of Rivenspire. We also just happen to be a coven of vampires. I suppose you'd call us good vampires. We only drink from willing donors and never to excess. Our mission is to hunt and put down the more ravenous of our kind.
Everyone in House Ravenwatch is a vampire?
Indeed. Well, except for our servants and willing blood vassals. As I said, we have a mission. We follow the teaching of Count Verandis Ravenwatch. We take no blood by force, help those in need, and curtail the actions of hostile vampires.
What do you know about the vineyard and winery?
It's been in the Valente family for generations. From what I was able to ascertain, Lord Valente inherited the place about a year ago. Seems he returned from a long trip, and his father suddenly fell ill and died. Now the place is under his control.
And Galio Valente is a vampire?
According to the invitation I found, yes. And not just any vampire. He's the leader of a powerful coven, which is why this whole affair concerns me. Ravenwatch has never heard of this coven or Valente before. And a wine auction? It makes no sense.
Yeah, it doesn't. Tell me more about the invitation you found.
As I said, I was trying to pick up the trail of the Terrors. Violent vampires that were last seen heading toward the Weald when I found the invitation. Another troublesome vampire I was forced to deal with had it among his possessions.
Just so you know, I took care of the Terrors, but why did the invitation cause you concern?
You did? That's one less problem I need to worry about then. As for the invitation, when things make no sense, I feel obliged to find clarity. Dangerous vampires, bidding on wine they cannot drink, hints at a mystery I cannot leave unsolved.
Gotcha. Let's go investigate. Oh, I can't steal the grapes. Interesting.
An injured field hand. Let's find out what happened.
This is no place to wander aimlessly, traveler. The foul beasts are vicious and hungry for blood.
Foul beasts?
Ugliest hounds Drovir has ever seen. This one just finished checking the new grapes and was on his way to the auction when it came out of nowhere. Ripped up Drovir's leg real good.
Lord Valente invited his servants to attend the auction?
Drovir thought the request was strange too, but Lord Valente insisted, and Lady Valente specifically told Sentry Helvius to let the servants in, even if we didn't have the fancy invitations. If you're here for the auction, you should head inside.
Yeah, I think you might be the one being auctioned. What can you tell me about Lord Galio Valente?
He came back from his travels different. Even his father was concerned about the changes in his beloved son. But shortly after young Galio returned, his father fell ill and died. Galio inherited the vineyard, the title, and all that entailed.
What can you tell us about the auction?
Just that he invited some important guests. He's been working on the new grapes for a special vintage since he returned, and he's very proud of it. Says it's going to make him even more rich and powerful. Can that be possible? This one is unsure.
You mentioned a new kind of grape?
Lord Valente developed the new seeds in his alchemical laboratory under the manor. They grow thorny vines that bear a crimson grape unlike anything Drovir has ever seen before. Once the first vintage was ready, Lord Valente set up this auction.
Tell me more about Lady Valente.
Lord Valente's new wife, a high elf with a name too complicated for this one's Khajiit tongue. Drovir believes they met during young Galio's time away. But what does this old field hand know of such things?
Is there anything unusual about either Lord or Lady Valente?
Unusual? Well, this one does not like to talk out of turn, but Drovir hears that Lady Valente wants to be more involved in running the vineyard, but Lord Valente refuses to include her. This one wonders why he even married her.
Maybe she's hot. I don't know. Who knows? People marry people for different reasons.
Let's look more closely at those grapes.
Valente Vineyard grapes. The grapes grown in the Valente Vineyard are large and display a deep crimson hue unlike any other grape you've ever seen.
The scent wafting off those grapes. It's tantalizing.
These are just the regular Jazabay grapes.
It appears the grapes did not agree with this death hound.
I see that.
Curious. Let's talk. Just as Count Ferrandis taught me, there is always something to learn if you simply pay attention. The field hand was attacked by a death hound, a sure indication of vampiric activity. And he provided a wealth of information. Don't you agree?
You mean about Lord Galio Valente, Lady Valente, and the new grapes?
So you were listening. Good. The field hand described Galio as different when he returned. He developed a new grape to make him richer and more powerful, and he recently married a high elf, but the marriage already seems troubled.
What do you think of the grapes we examined and the dead death hound?
The grapes were developed using alchemy. They've been infused with blood, and I find the aroma tantalizing.
Yeah, I figured it was something like
But
that.
I dare not try one. Look what consuming the grapes did to the death hound. Our next step is to attend the auction. You shall be my guest.
Won't they notice that I'm not a vampire? I wonder what this line says if your character is a vampire. I don't have any vampire characters, but that would be interesting.
The field hand assumed you were a guest of the auction, and the invitation did say to bring my most favored mortal servant. If anyone asks, you're the blood servant of Master Bogvir, the vampire I shall pretend to be and whose invitation I carry.
All right, let's head into the auction.
The invitation indicates we're to head to the walled garden just east of the manor. I suppose that's where they're letting the guests gather prior to the start of the auction. Shall we proceed?
Does the invitation tell us anything else about what to expect at the auction?
Let's see. It promises an evening in the beautiful Colovian countryside, majestic views, new and innovative cultivation, a new vintage called Vesper Valente, the auction. Ah, yes. And this. Who says wine doesn't belong in a flask?
What's that supposed to mean?
I could be reading into things, but in some vampire circles, flask is used as a crude term to refer to a blood servant. Someone who willingly lets vampires feed on them, usually for compensation.
And you mentioned that the invitation specifically suggested the vampires bring their servants?
Indeed. Though the vampire I acquired this invitation from wasn't the sort to rely on blood servants. He was extremely cruel. Preferred the thrill of the hunt and drank to kill. This event becomes stranger the more I try to make sense of it.
Alright, let's figure out what's going on in the next episode. That's going to be it for this episode. In the next episode, we will try to delve into this mystery more. Thanks for watching. See you next time.